The young man fixes lady's car. Little did he know she was the owner of... Tyler could feel sweat dripping down his face as he tried to figure out what was wrong with the engine of the car parked on the side of the road. The elegant lady standing beside him seemed nervous, constantly glancing at the gold watch on her wrist. "I think I found the problem," said Tyler, wiping his grease-stained hands on the rag he carried in his pocket. "It's the alternator belt that snapped. Without it, the battery drained and the car won't start." The woman let out a deep sigh, and Tyler noticed she seemed more worried than anyone should be over a simple car issue. "How long will it take to fix?" she asked, her voice laced with anxiety. "Well, I have a spare belt in my truck over there." Tyler pointed to the vehicle parked a few yards back. "But it'll take about 40 minutes to replace. Do you have somewhere urgent to be?" She hesitated for a moment, as if deciding how much to share with this young stranger. "Today is a very important day for me. After 30 years, I'm finally going to..." She stopped mid-sentence, shaking her head. "I'm sorry, I shouldn't be bothering you with my problems." Tyler sensed there was something much deeper going on than just a car repair. In his 5 years working as a mechanic on the roads of Pennsylvania, he'd learned to recognize when someone was going through a tough time. "You can tell me. Sometimes it helps to talk," he said, opening his toolbox. "And while I work, time will pass faster." The woman studied him for a few seconds, as if weighing whether she could trust him. There was something about the young man's simplicity and sincerity that made her lower her guard. "My name is Barbara Sullivan," she finally said. "And today I'm closing a chapter that started a long time ago." Tyler nodded as he began removing the damaged belt, paying equal attention to his work and the conversation. "Tyler Johnson," he introduced himself. "Nice to meet you, Miss Barbara. And this chapter, is it a good thing?" "It should be," she replied, but her tone suggested otherwise. "I'm selling something I built with sweat and tears. Something I always thought I'd pass down to my daughter." Her words carried a sadness that made Tyler pause for a moment. "Then why are you selling it?" Barbara laughed bitterly. "Because my daughter wants nothing to do with me." 5 years ago, she left home saying I was an absent mother, that I only cared about work, and that she never wanted to see me again. "And you never tried to talk to her?" "I did. I sent letters, flowers, gifts. I even hired a detective to find out where she was living, but she rejected everything. Last month I found out she's engaged and didn't even invite me to the wedding." Tyler kept working but listened even more closely to Barbara's story. There was something about this woman's pain that moved him deeply. "What did you do that made her so angry?" "I was the owner of a textile factory here in Pittsburgh, Sullivan Apparel. I started from scratch when my husband left me 6 months pregnant. I worked 16-hour days for years to build it." The company name sounded familiar to Tyler, but he couldn't place where he'd heard it. "But to do that, I had to sacrifice so much time with Emily. By the time I realized it, she was already a teenager and hated me. She always said I loved the factory more than her." Was she right? Barbara fell silent for a long moment. "I don't know, Tyler. I really don't. I always thought I was doing it all for her, to secure her future. But maybe she's right." Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, don't forget to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot as we're just starting out. Now, continuing. Tyler finished installing the new belt and closed the car's hood. "All set, Miss Barbara. You can start the car now." She turned the key and the engine roared to life immediately. The relief on her face was fleeting, quickly replaced by the same anxious expression as before. "How much do I owe you?" "Nothing at all, Miss Barbara. I had the belt left over from another job anyway." "What do you mean, nothing? You spent nearly an hour of your time. You're going through a tough time. I won't charge you anything." Barbara looked visibly surprised. After years of running a business, she'd grown used to people always wanting something in return. "You're a very kind young man, Tyler. Your mother must be so proud of you." "She was," Tyler replied, lowering his gaze. "She passed away last year." "Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know." "It's okay. She always taught me to help people without expecting anything back." Said life has a way of repaying kindness. Barbara studied the young man in his simple clothes and calloused hands, feeling something she hadn't in a long time, genuine admiration for someone. "Can I ask you something, Tyler? What do you dream of doing with your life?" Well, I really love working with cars. My dream was to have my own shop, you know. Nothing too big, just a place where I could work properly with good equipment. And why don't you open one? Ah, Ms. Barbara, for that I'd need a lot of money. To rent a space, buy tools, hire at least one more person, it'd probably be around $40,000 at least. Barbara nodded, understanding the scale of Tyler's dream. Have you tried getting a bank loan? Yeah, I have, but I don't have any collateral to offer. They only lend to people who already have money, right? That's true, she agreed, thinking of how often she'd faced the same hurdles when starting out. But I'm not giving up. I save a little every month. Maybe in 10 years I'll get there. 10 years is a long time. Yeah, but my mom always said a dream without a plan is just a wish. So I'll keep working and saving bit by bit. Barbara was struck by the young man's maturity and determination. At 23, he spoke with a wisdom many much older people lacked. Tyler, can I tell you something? When I started my company, I was in the same spot as you. No one believed in me. Really? Really? I was 25, pregnant, and had just been left by my daughter's father. No one would lend me even $1,000. How did you manage? Stubbornness. She smiled for the first time since their conversation began. A lot of stubbornness and a bit of luck. Luck how? A client I used to sew for at home placed a big order. 200 pieces for her store. With that money, I bought 3 used sewing machines and hired 2 seamstresses. And then things grew from there. Slowly. Very slowly. There were months I wasn't sure I could pay my employees, but I couldn't quit. I had a little girl to raise. Tyler listened intently, fascinated by the woman's story. You must be really proud of what you built. I was, she corrected, until I realized that in the race to build an empire, I lost the only thing that truly mattered. Your daughter. My daughter. They fell silent for a few minutes. Tyler packed his tools while Barbara stared at the road ahead, lost in thought. Miss Barbara, can I tell you something my mom always said? Of course. She said it's never too late to fix what's broken. You just need the right tools and a lot of patience. Barbara smiled again, this time more sincerely. Your mother was a wise woman. She was. And she also said sometimes you have to take everything apart to really understand where the problem lies. Tyler's words echoed in Barbara's mind, in a way she hadn't expected. There was something deeply true in those simple words. Tyler, you mentioned your mother passed away last year. Were you close? Very. It was just the 2 of us. My father left when I was 5, just like what happened to you. And how did you handle that? My mom worked hard, but she always made time for me. Every Sunday we did something together. Sometimes it was just watching TV, but she was there. You know, every Sunday. She said no matter how tired she was, that was our day. Barbara felt a tightness in her chest. She couldn't remember the last time she'd spent a whole Sunday with Emily. What did your mother do for work? She cleaned houses, left home at 5 in the morning, and came back at 7 at night. But on Sundays, she never worked. Never. Never. Even when money was tight and extra work came up, she'd refuse. She said money can be earned back, but time lost with the people you love never comes back. Tyler's words hit Barbara like a punch to the gut. For years, she'd worked weekends, holidays, vacations, always telling herself she was building a better future for Emily. Tyler, can I ask you something personal? Of course. Do you resent your mother for working so much? Resent her? No, Miss Barbara. I'm proud of her. She did what she had to do, but she never left me behind. The difference is she always included me in her life. How so? Well, sometimes she'd take me along to work. I'd play in the yard while she cleaned. Other times, she'd tell me about her day, the people she met. I always knew I mattered to her. Barbara thought about how often she'd included Emily in her own work life. She could count those times on one hand. And what did you talk about on Sundays? Everything. School, girls, my dreams, her dreams. She wanted to be a teacher, you know? Really? Yeah. But when my dad left, she had to drop out of college to work. Still, she never lost her love for teaching, helped me with homework every day. Did she ever go back to school? No. Always said she would one day, but time passed. When I grew up and started working, I offered to pay for her schooling. But she said it was too late. And do you think it was too late? No, I think she was afraid. Afraid she wouldn't keep up of being older than the other students. But she was the smartest person I knew. Barbara thought about her own relationship with fear. How many times had she avoided getting closer to Emily out of fear of more rejection? Tyler, do you regret anything about your relationship with your mother? Tyler thought for a moment before answering. Yes. I regret not pushing harder for her to go back to school, and I regret not telling her I loved her more often. You didn't tell her you loved her? I did, but I could have said it more. After she was gone, I realized we always think we have more time than we really do. Barbara felt tears forming in her eyes. When was the last time she'd told Emily she loved her? I'm sorry to ask, but how was the end? It was quick. A heart attack. She didn't suffer, thank God, but I didn't get to say goodbye properly. That must have been so hard. It was. But you know what helped me? Remembering all the times she told me she loved me, and all the things we did together. That never goes away. Barbara discreetly wiped away a tear that had escaped. You're right. The good memories are what remain. Exactly. That's why I think you still have a chance to make new memories with your daughter. You think so? I'm sure. If my mother were alive and wanted to talk to me, even if we had fought, I'd give her a chance. But what if she doesn't want to listen to me? Then you keep trying, gently, but you keep trying. My mom always said that those who love don't give up easily. Barbara looked at Tyler with a mix of admiration and sadness. This simple young man was touching on things years of therapy hadn't reached. Tyler, can I ask you one more question? Of course. If you could say one last thing to your mother, what would it be? Tyler fell silent for a long moment, clearly emotional. I'd tell her she was the best mother in the world, that everything good in me I learned from her, and that I hope to one day be half the person she was. Barbara's tears now flowed freely down her face. And if your daughter could say one last thing to you, what would you want to hear? That she forgives me, and that she understands I always loved her even though I made so many mistakes. Then why don't you tell her that? Because I don't know where she is, and because I'm afraid to hear that she doesn't want to forgive me. Ms. Barbara, can I tell you a secret? Go ahead. When my mother died, I was so angry at God. I thought it was unfair for her to leave so soon, but then I understood something. What? That she hadn't really left. She was in every piece of advice she gave me, in every value she taught. Me in every moment of love we shared. The people we love never truly go away. That's a beautiful way to think about it. And it's true too. That's why I believe your daughter still carries you inside her, even if she's angry. A mother is always a mother, Miss Barbara. That love doesn't disappear. Barbara couldn't stop crying now. These weren't just tears of sadness, but also of relief. It was as if someone had finally lit a small light in the darkness she'd lived in for 5 years. Tyler, you just gave me something I haven't had in a long time. What? Hope. I'm glad, but you also need to act. Hope without action is just an illusion, remember? Barbara smiled through her tears. You're right. But I don't even know where to start. How about starting by cancelling the sale? Cancel the sale? Yes. You said you're selling the company because your daughter wants nothing to do with you. But what if she changes her mind? What if you reconcile? You won't have anything left to offer her. I hadn't thought of that. Think about, say it now, is keeping the company worth it if it means a chance to get your daughter back? Barbara considered the question. Selling the company would mean a comfortable retirement, but also the end of 3 decades of work. You know, Tyler, I'm not just selling because of Emily. I'm tired too. Tired of fighting, of competing, of always worrying about profits and losses. Isn't there another way? Maybe changing how you run the business? How do you mean? I don't know. Letting more people handle things, working fewer hours, focusing on what really matters. You make it sound so simple. Maybe it's simpler than you think. My mom always said we complicate things when we're afraid. Afraid of what? Afraid of losing control. Afraid things won't turn out how we want. afraid to trust people. Barbara realized Tyler had hit the mark. For years, she'd kept everything in her own hands out of fear. Others wouldn't do things her way. You're right. I've always struggled with delegating. And why? So because when you build something from scratch, you're afraid others won't take care of it with the same love. But if you don't trust anyone, you'll have to work alone forever. Exactly. It's a vicious cycle. What if you broke that cycle? How? By hiring people you trust and letting them work. You could still be the owner, but you wouldn't have to work 16 hours a day. That's easier said than done. Of course it is, but you've done much harder things in life. Building a company from scratch as a single mother wasn't easy, but you did it. Barbara looked at Tyler with growing admiration. How had this 23-year-old managed to see things it took her decades to realize? Tyler, you said you want to have your own workshop. Yes, I do. Phil, do you have any experience with management? Not much. I know the basics of handling money, making budgets, that kind of thing. Why? I was thinking, what if I offered you a job at my company? Tyler stopped putting away his tools and looked at Barbara in surprise. What do you mean? You could work in maintenance, take care of the company's cars, machines, and equipment, and at the same time learn about management. Ms. Barbara, that's very generous, but what? I barely know you. Why would you do this for me? Because in just 1 hour of talking, you taught me things about life that took me years to learn, and because I need honest, hard-working people in my company. But I don't have experience with big companies. Experience can be learned, character can't, and you have character. Tyler was clearly moved by the offer. It would be a dream to work with you, but I can't accept charity. It's not charity, Tyler. It's business. I need someone to handle maintenance, and you need a better job. Everyone wins. And what would the salary be? $3,000 to start plus benefits, and if you adjust well, in 6 months we'll raise it to $4,000. Tyler could hardly believe what he was hearing. $3,000 was almost double what he made doing odd jobs on the road. Ms. Barbara, this is amazing. So you accept? Yes, thank you so much for the opportunity. Don't mention it. I'm the one who should be thanking you. You gave me something much more valuable than a car repair. What? A new perspective on life. They said goodbye with a handshake, but Barbara felt that meeting had been much more than a coincidence. There was something almost magical about meeting Tyler on the very day she was about to make one of the most important decisions of her life. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, take a moment to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It really helps those of us just starting out. Now, continuing. 2 weeks later, Tyler showed up at Sullivan Apparel for his first day of work. The company was bigger than he'd imagined, with over 200 employees and a 3-story building. Barbara personally welcomed him and introduced him to Jennifer, the HR manager, who was clearly surprised by the boss's decision to hire someone without a formal resume for an important position. Ms. Barbara, I don't understand why we're hiring a roadside mechanic to handle company maintenance, Jennifer said privately. We have processes, protocols, established suppliers. Jennifer, trust me, Tyler is exactly what we need here. But he has no management experience, doesn't know our suppliers, doesn't have proper technical training. He has something much more important than all that. What? Honesty and a willingness to learn. Jennifer shook, her head clearly displeased, but had no choice but to accept Barbara's decision. Tyler was introduced to Robert, the former maintenance supervisor who was about to retire. Robert was a 60-year-old man who had worked at the company for 15 years and didn't hide his distrust of the new employee. So you're the famous mechanic Ms. Barbara hired, Robert said with a mocking tone. Yes, Mr. Robert, I'm here to learn from you. Learning is one thing. Working here is something else entirely. This isn't some roadside repair shop, kid. I understand, Mr. Robert. Can you teach me how things work here? I can, but don't expect it to be easy. There's a lot of expensive equipment here, machines that cost more than your house. Tyler swallowed his pride and focused on learning, despite Robert's hostility. During the first week, he carefully observed how the company's maintenance worked. There were 3 delivery trucks, 2 vans, 15 industrial sewing machines, 2 generators, an air conditioning system, an elevator, and countless smaller pieces of equipment. Robert made sure to highlight the complexity of each machine, always emphasizing that Tyler didn't have the knowledge to handle them. "See this machine here?" Robert said, pointing to an industrial sewing machine. "It costs $40,000. If you break something, you're fired on the spot." "I understand, Mr. Robert. Can I see its manual?" "Manual? Here, we work with experience, not manuals. But there must be some technical documentation, right?" "There is, but it's all in English. Do you know English?" "Not much, but I can try to learn." Robert laughed scornfully. "Learn English? Boy, do you think this is a school?" Tyler realized Robert was doing everything to discourage him, but refused to give up. During lunch breaks, he studied the equipment manuals, even if he didn't understand everything. Barbara passed by the maintenance department a few times a day, always asking how Tyler was adjusting. She noticed the tension between him and Robert, but chose not to interfere directly. "How's it going, Tyler?" she asked during one of her visits. "It's a challenge, Ms. Barbara. There's a lot to learn. And is Robert helping you?" Tyler hesitated before answering. "Yes, he is. He knows all the equipment very well." Barbara could tell he was being diplomatic, but appreciated that he wasn't complaining. "If you need anything, you can talk to me." "Thank you, Ms. Barbara. I'm managing." In the second week, Tyler faced his first real test. One of the sewing machines broke down during production, stopping an entire line. Robert was in a meeting with suppliers and couldn't be reached. The seamstresses were growing impatient. The production halt meant losing productivity-based pay. Jennifer urgently approached Tyler. "Tyler, can you take a look at the machine? Robert isn't available and we're losing money every minute." "I can try, Miss Jennifer. What's the problem?" "The machine just stopped working. The error light fires on, but no one knows what it means." Tyler went to the machine and checked the error code on the display. He remembered seeing something similar in the manual he'd been studying. "Miss Jennifer, can I get the machine's manual?" "You can read those manuals. I'm learning." Jennifer brought the manual, and Tyler searched for the error code. "After." A few minutes, he found the reference. "It says here it's a thread tension sensor issue. The thread might be too tight or too loose." "And do you know how to fix it?" "I can try. The manual shows how." Tyler followed the manual's instructions and adjusted the thread tension. The machine was working normally again, much to everyone's relief. Jennifer was impressed. "How did you manage to fix it? Robert always says these machines are really complicated." "Actually, it wasn't that hard. The manual explains it well." "You read the manual in English?" "Yes, I did, with the help of a translator on my phone, but I read it. Robert said you wouldn't know how to handle the equipment. Mr. Robert has a lot of experience. I'm still learning." Jennifer started to realize that maybe Barbara was right about Tyler. There was something about the young man's humility and dedication that stood out. When Robert returned from the meeting and found out Tyler had fixed the machine, he was visibly upset. "You messed with the machine without my permission?" he asked, clearly irritated. "Ms. Jennifer asked me to take a look. Production was halted." "I'm the one responsible for the equipment here. You can't just go around touching things without my supervision." "I'm sorry, Mr. Robert, I just followed what was in the manual." "Manual? What manual?" "The machine's manual. It had the error code explained there." Robert was clearly embarrassed. He knew he should be familiar with the manuals, but had never bothered to study them. "Next time you wait for me to come back, understood?" "Understood, Mr. Robert." But Jennifer had witnessed the whole scene and decided to report it to Barbara. "Ms. Barbara, Tyler fixed the machine on line 3 in 15 minutes. Robert was out and production had stopped." "Really? How did he manage that?" "He studied the manual. Said he was learning English to read technical documentation." Barbara smiled, feeling her intuition about Tyler was being confirmed. "And Robert? How did he react?" "He wasn't too happy about being upstaged, said Tyler shouldn't touch the equipment without his supervision." "I see. And do you think Robert is right?" "Honestly, I think Robert's afraid of losing his place. Tyler has shown more dedication in 2 weeks than Robert has in the last 2 years." Barbara decided it was time for a serious talk with Robert. "Robert, I need to speak with you privately." Of course, Miss Barbara. Is this about the new guy? Yes, I heard he fixed the machine yesterday. Yeah, he shouldn't have touched it without my permission. Robert, production was stopped. He did what needed to be done. But Miss Barbara, these machines are delicate. If he had broken something, but he didn't. In fact, he solved the problem quickly. Beginner's luck. Robert, you've been here 15 years. You're a trusted employee. But Tyler's dedication is impressive. Dedication how? He's studying the manuals, learning English, making an effort to understand every piece of equipment. When was the last time you studied a manual? Robert had no answer. Look, Robert, I'm not questioning your competence, but I think the two of you could work together instead of competing. Ms. Barbara, with all due respect, that kid has no experience. He could cause serious damage to the company. And you think the best way to prevent that is by not letting him learn? That's not it. Yes, it is, Robert. You're sabotaging his work because you're afraid of losing your place. But your place isn't threatened. You both have different experiences that could complement each other. Robert left the conversation, clearly unsettled, but began to rethink his attitude toward Tyler. The following week, Tyler had to deal with a more complex issue. The company's elevator stopped working, leaving employees stuck between the second and third floors. Robert tried to fix it for 2 hours, but couldn't identify the problem. The maintenance company said they couldn't come until the next. Tyler, could you take a look? Barbara asked, worried about the trapped employees. I can try, Ms. Barbara, but elevators are much more complicated than sewing machines. I know, but maybe you can at least figure out if it's something simple. Tyler studied the elevator manual for an hour before starting to work on it. He checked the fuses, the sensors, the cables, everything methodically. Mr. Robert watched skeptically, expecting him to give up. I found the problem, Tyler finally said. What is it? Robert asked, surprised. One of the door sensors is out. Of calibration. The elevator thinks the door is open when it's actually closed. And do you know how to calibrate it? The manual explains the procedure. It's a bit complicated, but I think I can do it. Tyler spent another hour carefully adjusting the sensor, following each step in the manual. When he finished, the elevator worked perfectly again. The trapped employees descended, relieved, and the story spread quickly through the company. Jennifer was impressed once more and decided to publicly praise Tyler during the weekly board meeting. Ms. Barbara, I'd like to commend Tyler for the work he's been doing. In just 3 weeks, he's already solved 2 problems that could have caused significant losses for the company. That's wonderful to hear, Jennifer. And Robert, how's their teamwork going? There's still some tension, but it's improving. Barbara decided it was time to talk to Tyler to better understand how he was feeling. Tyler, how are things? Are you adjusting well? Yes, Ms. Barbara. I'm learning a lot. And your relationship with Robert? Oh, Mr. Robert is a good person. He's just worried about the company. That's normal. Is he giving you the support you need? Tyler hesitated before answering. Well, Ms. Barbara, Mr. Robert knows the equipment very well, but I think he's afraid I'm here to replace him. And are you? Of course not. I want to learn from him. He has 15 years of experience. I've been here 3 weeks. But you're solving problems he couldn't. It's because I've been studying a lot. I take the manuals home, research online, watch YouTube videos. I think that makes a difference. It does make a difference. And do you enjoy studying? I love it. My mother always said knowledge is the one thing no one can take from you. Your mother was right. Tyler, can I make you an offer? Of course. How about you take a technical course in industrial maintenance? The company can pay for it. Really? You'd do that? I would. You've shown you're worth investing in. Thank you so much, Ms. Barbara. That would be amazing. Then, it's settled. Jennifer will help you enroll in the course. Tyler left the conversation elated. Not only did he have a better job, but now he'd have the chance to advance professionally. When he got home that night, he thought of his mother and how proud she would have been to see him in this situation. Mom, I think you were right about not giving up on dreams, he said, looking at her photo on the living room table. The next day, Robert approached Tyler for a talk. Tyler, can I talk to you? Of course, Mr. Robert. Look, I want to apologize for how I've treated you these past few weeks. You don't need to apologize, Mr. Robert. Yes, I do. I was afraid of losing my job, afraid of being replaced. But I realized you're not here to hurt me. I never wanted to hurt anyone, Mr. Robert. I just want to learn and do good work. I know that now, and I want to propose something. What? How about I teach you everything I know about the equipment here, and you teach me how to study manuals and use technology? That would be great, Mr. Robert. Then it's settled. Starting today, we're a team. Their handshake marked the beginning of a partnership that would prove highly productive for both. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, please take a moment to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot as we're just starting out. Now continuing. 2 months later, Tyler was fully settled into the company. He had begun his technical course and was applying what he learned to his daily work. Robert, on the other hand, was more motivated than he had been in years. His partnership with Tyler had inspired him to return to studying and updating his skills. Barbara watched everything with satisfaction, but something was bothering her. Since that day on the road, she hadn't been able to stop thinking about Emily. Her conversation with Tyler had planted a seed that was now growing inside her. With each passing day, her desire to reconnect with her daughter grew stronger. One day, she gathered her courage and called the detective she had hired months earlier. Mr. Peterson, this is Barbara Sullivan. I'd like to know if you still have the information about my daughter. I do, Miss Barbara. Miss Emily is still living at the same address in New York City. And is she still engaged? She is. The wedding is scheduled for next month. Barbara felt her heart race. Thank you for the information. You're welcome, Ms. Barbara, can I help with anything else? Actually, yes. Could you give me the address of her workplace? Of course. She works at an elementary school in the South Side. A school? What does she do there? She's a teacher, Miss Barbara. The news hit Barbara like a bolt of lightning. Emily had become a teacher, exactly what she had always dreamed of as a child. Barbara remembered how Emily used to play school when she was little, always saying she wanted to teach children when she grew up. That night, Barbara couldn't sleep. She kept thinking about how to approach Emily, how to break 5 years of silence and hurt. The next day, she went to Tyler. Tyler, I need your advice. Of course, Ms. Barbara. What's wrong? I found out my daughter is living in New York City and working as a teacher. That's wonderful. Are you going to try to talk to her? I really want to, but I don't know how. What if you start simple? Maybe send her a letter. A letter? But what if she doesn't read it? What if she does? Barbara thought for a moment. You're right, but what do I write after 5 years of silence? The truth. Tell her you miss her, that you want to talk, that you love her. And if she doesn't respond, then you write another letter, and another, until she does. Isn't that too pushy? Ms. Barbara, you told me you worked 16-hour days for years to build your company. Why not put that same dedication into getting your daughter back? Tyler's words struck deep. He was right. She had fought tirelessly to build her business, but had given up too easily on her daughter. You're right. I'll write the letter today. Great. And if you'd like, I can help you write it. You'd do that? Of course. Sometimes it's easier when someone else gives input. That afternoon, Barbara and Tyler sat in the executive office to write the letter. Barbara started several times but always ended up tearing the paper. I can't find the right words, she said, frustrated. Ms. Barbara, you're overthinking it. Write as if you're talking to her. But what do I say? Tell her about the day we met. Tell her how that conversation changed your life. Do you think she'll believe me? If it's the truth, she'll feel it's the truth. Barbara took a deep breath and began writing. My dear Emily, I know this letter might surprise you after all this time, but I need to talk to you. 2 months ago, my car broke down on the road, and a young man helped me. During our conversation, he made me see things about myself that I'd ignored for years. I realized I made many mistakes as a mother. I worked so hard thinking about your future that I forgot to live in your present. I missed so many important moments in your life. I know you're engaged and that you became a teacher. I'm happy to hear you achieved your childhood dream. I remember you playing school and saying you wanted to teach children. I'm not writing just to ask for forgiveness. I'm writing to say I love you and that I miss you so much, and to say that, If you give me a chance, I'd love to meet the amazing woman you've become. If you don't want to reply, I'll understand. But know that you were and always will be the most important thing in my life. With love, Mom." Tyler read the letter and nodded in approval. "It's perfect, Ms. Barbara. It came straight from the heart." "Do you really think so?" "I'm sure. If I were Emily, I'd be moved by this letter." Barbara sealed the letter in an envelope and asked Jennifer to arrange for it to be sent the next day. Then began the hardest wait of her life. A week passed with no response. Barbara checked the mail every day, but nothing came. "She's not going to reply," Barbara said to Tyler. "It was too presumptuous of me to think a letter could fix 5 years of hurt." "Miss Barbara, it's only been a week. Maybe she's thinking about how to respond. Or maybe she threw the letter in the trash. That's possible. But it's also possible she's as surprised as you were when your car broke down." "What do you mean?" "Sometimes things happen at the right time, even if we don't realize it at first." Barbara decided to be patient, but it was harder than she'd imagined. In the second week, something unexpected happened. Barbara received a call from an unknown number. "Hello? Hello, is this Barbara Sullivan?" "Yes, it is. Who's speaking?" "My name is Michael. I'm Emily's fiancé." Barbara felt her heart race. "Oh, hello, Michael." "Miss Barbara, Emily received your letter." "She did? And how did she react?" "Well, she cried a lot, and she asked me to call you." "She didn't want to talk to me directly. She's still very confused, you know. 5 years is a long time. I understand. What does she want you to tell me? That she read the letter several times, that she was moved, but that she still doesn't know if she's ready to talk." "I completely understand. I don't want to pressure her. But she did ask me to ask you one thing." "What?" "If you've really changed or if you're just trying to ease your guilt." The question stung, but Barbara knew it was fair. "Michael, can I be honest with you?" "Of course. 2 months ago, I was about to sell my company and move to the countryside. I was tired of everything, convinced I'd lost Emily forever." "What changed?" "I met a young man who made me see I'd given up too easily, that there was still time to fix the mistakes I'd made." "And have you really changed?" "I'm trying, Michael. It's not easy to change who you are after 50 years, but I'm making the effort." "How?" "I've started delegating more responsibilities at the company. I'm working fewer hours. I'm trying to appreciate the people around me more. And that's true. If you want, you can ask any employee at my company. They'll confirm it." Michael was silent for a moment. "Miss Barbara, can I tell you something?" "Of course." "Emily has always talked about you a lot. Even when she was angry, I could tell she missed you." "Really?" "Really, she keeps all the photos of you two from when she was little. And on her birthday, she always gets sad, even if she pretends not to." "Why?" "Because she remembers the birthdays you spent together before things got complicated." Barbara began to cry on the other end of the line. "Michael, can you tell her I remember too? That I keep all her photos in my office?" "I can. And can I tell you something too?" "Go ahead." "I think you two love each other very much, but you're both afraid of getting hurt again." "You're right. So maybe you just need a little help to reconnect." "What kind of help? How about if I convince Emily to at least accept a call from you?" "You'd do that?" "I would. I love Emily, and I want her to be happy, and I know part of her happiness is missing because of this fight with you." "Thank you so much, Michael. You're the son-in-law I'd love to have, and you're the mother-in-law I'd love to get to know better." They said goodbye with the agreement that Michael would try to convince Emily to accept a call from Barbara. Barbara hung up, emotional, and immediately went to find Tyler to share the news. "Tyler, something amazing happened." "What is it, Miss Barbara?" "Emily's fiancé called me. She got the letter and was really moved." "That's wonderful. Does she want to talk to you?" "Not yet, but Michael said he'll try to convince her to at least accept a call from me." "That's already great progress." "It is. You know, Tyler, none of this would have happened if you hadn't encouraged me to write that letter. Miss Barbara, you were the one who found the courage to write. I just gave you a little nudge. It was much more than a nudge. You gave me hope again. And you gave me a chance to grow in life. We're even." Barbara smiled. thinking about how fate had brought Tyler into her life exactly when she needed him most. 3 days later, Michael called again. "Ms. Barbara, I convinced Emily to accept your call." "Really? When?" "Tonight at 8. But she said she'll only talk for 15 minutes. 15 minutes is perfect. Thank you so much, Michael." "You're welcome. Good luck." Barbara spent the whole day rehearsing what to say. She even asked Tyler for advice on how to handle the conversation. "Ms. Barbara, don't rehearse. Speak from the heart like you did in the letter. But what if I say something wrong? Then you apologize and correct it. What matters is that you're talking." At exactly 8 o'clock, Barbara dialed the number Michael had given her. "Hello?" The voice on the other end was Emily's, more mature but still familiar. "Emily? It's Mom." There was a long silence on the other end. "Hi, Mom." Barbara started crying just hearing her daughter call her that. "Emily, my dear, I've missed your voice so much. I got your letter. And what did you think? I thought it was different. You'd never talked to me like that before, because I'd never seen myself that way before. Mom, can I ask you something?" "Of course, sweetheart. Have you really changed, or are you just trying to ease your conscience?" "Emily, can I be honest?" "Go ahead." "When you left, at first I was angry. I thought you were ungrateful, that you didn't understand all the sacrifices I'd made for you. And now? Now I understand you were right. I really was an absent mother. I put the company before you, and that was a terrible mistake. Why did it take you 5 years to realize that?" "Because I was scared, Emily. Scared to admit I'd failed you. Scared to reach out and hear that you wouldn't forgive me." "So what changed?" "I met someone who taught me that real love doesn't give up easily, that if I truly loved you, I should fight for you." "Who was that?" "A young man who helped me when my car broke down. He told me about his relationship with his own mother, and it made me realize everything I'd lost with you. Mom, can I tell you something?" "Of course." "When I left, I was waiting for you to come after me." "What do you mean?" "I was testing if you really loved me. I wanted to see if you'd choose the company or me. And I chose wrong." "You did. And when you didn't come after me in those first few weeks, I was sure the company mattered more." "Emily, can you forgive me? I know I can't turn back time, but I can try to be different from now on." "Mom, it's not just about forgiveness. It's 5 years of hurt, 5 years of life we didn't share." "I know, sweetheart. I'm not asking to go back to how things were. I'm asking for a chance to get to know who you've become. Did you know I became a teacher?" "Yes, I did. And I'm so proud. I remember you playing school when you were little." "You remember that?" "I remember a lot, Emily. Your first day of school, your first birthday party, the day you learned to ride a bike." "Then why did you pull away so much when I grew up?" "Because I thought giving you money and comfort was enough. I didn't understand you needed my presence, not just my support. And you understand now." "I do. And if you give me a chance, I want to show you I understand." "How?" "However you want, Emily. On your terms, at your pace." There was another long silence. "Mom, can I think about it?" "Of course, sweetheart. I don't want to pressure you." "Thank you, and Mom." "Yes?" "I missed you too. Even when I was angry, I missed you." Barbara hung up the phone, emotional but hopeful. It was just the first step, but it was a step in the right direction. The next day, she told Tyler everything. How did the conversation go, Miss Barbara? It was hard, but it was honest. She's still hurt, but at least she's willing to talk. That's already a lot. It is. And you know, Tyler, during the call, I realized something. What? That Emily isn't the girl who left home 5 years ago anymore. She's grown into an independent woman, a teacher. I need to get to know this new version of her. And how do you plan to do that? Slowly, with patience, showing I've changed, through actions, not just words. Great strategy. Tyler, can I tell you a secret? Of course. I've been thinking about doing something, but I'm not sure if it's a good idea. What? I was thinking about starting a social project at the company, something related to education since Emily's a teacher. What kind of project? I'm not sure yet. Maybe tutoring for employees' kids or scholarships, something like that. I think that's an amazing idea. What if you invited Emily to help plan it? Do you think she'd accept? Worth a try, and even if she doesn't, it would show you value her work. Barbara felt excited by the idea. I'll think more about it, but first I need to let our relationship grow a little stronger. Perfect, one step at a time. In the following weeks, Barbara and Emily began texting occasionally. Simple conversations about daily life, but they meant real progress. Barbara told Emily about changes at the company, about Tyler, about how she was trying to work less. Emily talked about the kids she taught, her wedding plans, life in New York City. A month after that first call, Emily made an unexpected invitation. Mom, Michael and I are thinking of coming to Pittsburgh next weekend. Would you like to have lunch with us? Barbara read the message over and over before believing it was real. I'd love to, sweetheart. When and where would you like? How about Sunday noon at that Italian restaurant we used to go to when I was little? Barbara remembered it perfectly, a small cozy place they visited on the rare Sundays she wasn't working. Perfect. I can't wait to meet Michael in person. He's excited to meet you too. Barbara spent the whole week preparing for the reunion. She bought a new outfit, went to the hairdresser, and was more nervous than she'd ever been for any business meeting. On Sunday morning, she looked for Tyler to tell him about the lunch. Miss Barbara, how wonderful. How are you feeling? Nervous, very nervous. It'll be the first time I've seen Emily in 5 years. Everything will be fine. You'll... See? I hope so, Tyler. Can I ask you a favor? Of course, Issa, if anything goes wrong, can I call you? Of course you can. But nothing will go wrong. How can you be so sure? Because you two love each other. And where there's true love, there's always a way to work things out. Barbara arrived at the restaurant 15 minutes early. She chose a table with good visibility and kept an eye on the door. When Emily walked in, Barbara felt her heart race. Her daughter was beautiful, more mature, but still with the same smile she'd had as a child. Michael was beside her, a friendly young man with a gentle demeanor. Mom, Emily said, approaching the table. Emily. Barbara stood up, and for a moment they hesitated, unsure whether to hug. Michael broke the ice. Miss Barbara, it's a pleasure to finally meet you in person. I'm Michael. The pleasure is all mine, Michael. Thank you so much for helping make this happen. Don't mention it. You both deserve to reconcile. They sat down, and there were a few moments of awkward silence. You look beautiful. Emily, Barbara finally said. Thank you, Mum. You look great too. How was the trip from New York City? Smooth. We left early to avoid traffic. The conversation started off formal, but gradually became more natural. Barbara asked about Emily's work, the children she taught, and her wedding plans. Emily asked about the company and the changes Barbara had mentioned in her messages. Mom, you said you hired a young man who helped you on the road. How's he adjusting? Very well. Tyler is an exceptional young man. He's the one who gave me the courage to write that letter to you. Really? Really? He told me about his relationship with his mother, and it made me realize how much I'd lost with you. I'd like to meet this Tyler. You really would? I would. Anyone who helped bring us back together is special. Barbara was moved by Emily's words. Emily, can I tell you something? Of course. I'm so sorry for all the years I wasted, for all the times I chose work over. You, Mom, you don't have to keep blaming yourself for the past. Yes, I do. I need to acknowledge my mistakes so I don't repeat them. And how do you plan not to repeat them? By changing how I live, working less, valuing people more, prioritizing relationships. And is it working? It is. I've been delegating more responsibilities at the company, hiring trustworthy people, allowing myself to have a personal life. Michael listened intently. Miss Barbara, can I ask you something? Of course, Michael. What really changed in you? What made you realize it was time to change? Barbara thought before answering. Loneliness, Michael. I was alone, about to sell everything and isolate myself from the world. That's when I realized I'd built a financial empire but destroyed my personal life. And what made you fight for Emily? Tyler. He showed me it was possible to work hard and still maintain relationships. His mother managed to do it. How? By setting clear priorities. She worked hard during the week but reserved Sundays just for him. She included him in her life, shared her day with him, showed him he mattered. Emily listened quietly, clearly moved by the story. "Mom, do you remember when I was little and would wait for you to come home from work?" "I do. I always wanted to tell you about my day, about school, about my friends, but you were always too tired or worried about something at work. I remember that too, and I regret it so much." "Don't regret it, Mum. Regret is for the past. What matters is what we do from now on." "You're right. Emily, can I ask you something?" "Go ahead." "Would you be willing to give me a second chance? Not to go back to being mother and daughter like before, but to build something new?" "Mum, can I be honest?" "Of course. When I got your letter, I cried for 3 days. Not from sadness, but from relief." "Relief?" "Relief to know you still cared about me. During those 5 years, sometimes I thought you'd completely forgotten about me." "Never, Emily. Not a single day went by without me thinking of Yayosa." "Then why did it take you so long to reach out?" "Because I was ashamed. Ashamed to admit you were right. Ashamed to admit I'd failed as a mother." "Mom, you didn't fail completely. You gave me an education, taught me to be independent, showed me a woman can build anything if she's determined. But I didn't give you enough love. You did love me, Mum. Just in a way I couldn't understand back then." "What do you mean?" "You worked so hard because you wanted to give me a better future. I just wanted more attention, but now I see you were doing your best too." Barbara began to cry. "Emily, do you forgive me?" "I forgave you a long time ago, Mum. I was just waiting for you to come to me." The two stood up and hugged right there in the middle of the restaurant, under the emotional gaze of Michael and other customers. "I love you, sweetheart." "I love you too, Mum." When they pulled apart, Michael was grinning widely. "It's so good to see you two like this," he said. "Michael, thank you so much for helping us," Barbara said. "Don't mention it. You two did the hard part." Lunch continued much more relaxed. They talked about the past, the present, and plans for the future. Emily shared details about her wedding, her school, and her dreams as a teacher. Barbara spoke about the changes at the company, about Tyler, and the plans she was making to have more free time. "Mom, can I tell you something?" "Of course. I've always been proud of you. Even when I was angry, I'd tell people my mom built a company from scratch." "Really?" "Really. You've always been my example of a strong, determined woman." "But you said I was an absent mother." "And you were, but that doesn't erase all your good qualities. A person can have flaws and strengths at the same time." "You're right. And now I want to work on my flaws, and I want to help you with that." "How?" "By being patient while you learn to be different, and by being honest when you slip back into old habits." "You'd do that?" "Of course, that's how a real relationship works." Michael chimed in with occasional comments, but mostly watched mother and daughter reconcile with satisfaction. "Emily, can I make a suggestion?" Barbara said. "Sure. How about you two come spend a few days here in Pittsburgh before the wedding? That way I can get to know Michael better, and you can see the changes I've made at the company." "That would be great," Michael said. "I'd love to see Miss Barbara's company." "And I'd like to see our house," Emily said. "Our house? The house I grew up in. Do you still live there?" "I do, and it's still your home too, sweetheart." "Then it's settled. We'll come for the long weekend." "Perfect. And Emily, would you like to meet Tyler?" "Of course. I want to meet the person who helped my mom rediscover herself." They said goodbye with more hugs and plans to meet again the following weekend. Barbara returned home, floating with happiness. She immediately called Tyler to tell him about the lunch. "Tyler, everything worked out. Emily forgave me." "That's wonderful, Miss Barbara. How did it go?" "It was better than I dreamed. We talked about everything. She forgave me, and they're spending next weekend here." "That's great. And does she want to meet me?" "Yes. She said anyone who helped bring us back together is a special person." "I'm honored. When will it be?" "Next long weekend. Can you join us for dinner on Saturday?" "Of course, it'll be an honor to meet Emily." "Tyler, I don't have the words to thank you for everything you've done for me." "Ms. Barbara, no need to thank me. You changed my life too." "How?" "You gave me a chance when no one else would. You showed me it's possible to grow in life without losing your values, and now I feel like part of a family." "You are part of our family, Tyler. You're like a son to me." The 2 weeks until Barbara's next meeting with Emily flew by. She prepared the house, planned the dinner, and organized every little detail. At work, everyone noticed how much happier and livelier she was. "Miss Barbara, you seem different," Jennifer remarked. "Oh, different how?" "Lighter, more smiley. Did something good happen?" "It did. I made up with my daughter." "That's wonderful. I'm so glad it worked out." "It worked out thanks to Tyler. He gave me the courage to reach out to her. Tyler really is a special person." "He is. He's joining us for dinner on Saturday to meet Emily. I'm sure they'll get along." On Friday evening, Emily and Michael arrived in Pittsburgh. Barbara picked them up at the airport, nervous but overjoyed. "How was the flight?" "Smooth," Emily said. "I'm excited to spend a few days here. And I'm nervous to see Miss Barbara's company," Michael admitted. "Don't be nervous, it's just a clothing factory." "It's not just a factory, Mom," Emily said. "It's your dream come true." Barbara was touched by her daughter's words. When they got home, Emily made sure to visit every room. "Everything's exactly the same," she said, clearly emotional. "Even my room. I didn't change a thing." "Really?" "Really, I always hoped you'd come back." Emily walked into her room and saw it was exactly as she'd left it 5 years earlier. "Mom, you even kept my stuffed animals." "I kept everything, sweetheart. Everything that was part of you." Michael watched with interest, understanding the dynamic between mother and daughter better. "Ms. Barbara, can I ask you something?" "Of course, Michael. Did you ever think about remarrying?" "A few times, but I never found anyone who accepted that Emily was my priority." "Was she really?" "She was. Even when I didn't show it well, she was always the most important thing in my life." Emily overheard from the bedroom doorway, her eyes welling up. "Mom, can I sleep in my room tonight?" "Of course, sweetheart. It's your room." "And can Michael stay in the guest room?" "Absolutely. I'll get everything ready for him." That night, they had dinner at home and talked late into the evening. Barbara shared stories from Emily's childhood, and Emily reminisced about happy memories she'd held on to. "Mom, remember that Sunday we went to the zoo?" "I do. You were about 8. That was one of the happiest days of my childhood." "Why?" "Because you turned off your phone and spent the whole day just with me. I should have done that more often." "You should have, but the important thing is we did it at least once." "Emily, can I promise you something?" "Go ahead." "That from now on, I'll make many more moments like that." "You don't have to." "Promise, Mom, you just have to do it." "You're right. Promises don't fix things, actions do." On Saturday morning, Barbara took Emily and Michael to see the company. All the employees were curious to meet the boss's daughter, especially Tyler, who had been looking forward to the meeting. "Emily, this is Tyler," Barbara said when they reached the maintenance department. "Tyler, finally, my mom never stops talking about you." "The pleasure is all mine, Emily. Your mom never stops talking about you either. Is it true you convinced her to reach out to me?" "Well, I just gave her a little nudge. She was the one who found the courage to act." "Still, thank you so much. You have no idea what that letter meant to me." "I think I do. My mom always said family is the most important thing in life." "Your mom was a wise woman. She really was. I think the two of you would have gotten along well." Emily looked around the maintenance department, impressed by how organized it was. "Tyler, this place is really well put together." "Thank you. I've been trying to modernize things little by little." "Modernize how?" "Well, now we have preventive maintenance spreadsheets, translated manuals, a work order system." "Wow, that sounds really professional." "I'm learning. Your mum gave me the chance to take a technical course. She told me, I'm glad you're making the most of it." Michael listened to the conversation with interest. "Tyler, can I ask you something?" "Of course. How do you see Miss Barbara as a boss?" "She's the best boss I've ever had. Demanding but fair, and most importantly, she trusts people." "Trusts them?" "Yeah. At first, Mr. Robert, who worked here before, was hesitant to let me handle the equipment. But Miss Barbara said if she trusted me, he should too. And did it work out? It did. Now Mr. Robert and I are a team." Barbara watched the exchange with satisfaction, seeing how naturally Tyler won over Emily and Michael. "Mom, can I see the rest of the company?" "Of course, honey, I'll show you everything." They took a full tour of the factory. Emily was amazed by the scale of the operation and how fondly the employees spoke of Barbara. "Mum, the employees seem to really like you." "I hope so. I've always tried to treat them with respect." "It's obvious they do. I saw how they look at you. Emily, can I show you something?" "Sure." Barbara led her to her office and showed her a wall covered in photos of Emily. "See? I never forgot. You." Emily was moved to see all those pictures, from childhood to the most recent ones Barbara had gotten through the detective. "Mom, you even have photos of me from college." "I do. I always wanted to keep up with your life, even from afar." "Then why didn't you try to reach out sooner?" "Because I was afraid you'd reject me. I thought you hated me." "I never hated you, Mum. I was hurt, but I never hated you. Now I know that, and I regret wasting so much time because of fear." Michael watched everything with admiration. "Ms. Barbara, can I say something?" "Of course. You're an incredible woman. Now, I understand why Emily always spoke about you with so much pride. Thank you, Michael, and thank you for taking such good care of my daughter." Taking care of Emily is a pleasure, not a job. "I can see she chose well." "I hope so." During lunch at the company, Barbara introduced Emily and Michael to the key employees. Everyone was charmed by the boss's daughter's warmth. Jennifer was particularly impressed. "Miss Barbara, Emily is just like you when you were young." "You think so?" "I do. Same determination, same intelligence, same charisma." "She's much better than I was, Jennifer." "Why?" "Because she managed to balance career and personal life from the start. Something it took me 50 years to learn." In the afternoon, they visited the school Barbara had attended as a child. It was a way for Emily to learn more about her mother's past. "Mom, were you a good student?" "I was. I always loved studying." "And why didn't you go to college?" "Because when your father left me, I had to work to support us. There was no time or money left for studying." "Did you never think about going later?" "I did, but there was always something more urgent at the company." "And now that you have more time, don't you think about studying something?" "You know, I never really thought about it." "You should. It's never too late to learn new things." "You're right. Maybe I'll take a business administration course or something like that. Or maybe something you've always wanted to learn but never had time for." "Like what?" "I don't know. Painting, music, literature, languages." Barbara thought about her daughter's suggestion. There really were many things she'd always wanted to learn but never had time for. "Emily, can I tell you a secret?" "Of course. I've always wanted to learn how to play the piano." "Really? Why didn't you ever learn?" "Because I thought it was silly, that it had no practical use." "Mom, not everything in life needs to have a practical use. Sometimes we do, things just because we enjoy them." "You're right. Maybe I'll sign up for a music school. Do it, and when you learn how to play, play for me." "I promise." On Saturday evening, it was time for dinner with Tyler. Barbara had prepared everything with care. She wanted the evening to be special. Tyler arrived right on time, bringing flowers for Barbara and Emily. "Tyler, how thoughtful," said Emily. "It's the least I can do for two such special women." "You're very polite," said Michael. "My mother always said manners are the only luxury poor people can afford." The conversation during dinner was lively. Tyler shared more details about his story, his dreams, and how Barbara had changed his life. Emily talked about her work as a teacher, the challenges of education, and her plans after the wedding. "Emily, can I ask you something?" said Tyler. "Sure." "Do you enjoy teaching?" "I love it. It's the best job in the world." "Why?" "Because I can make a difference in children's lives. I can teach them not just math and language, but also values, dreams, hope. Just like your mother did for me." "What do you mean?" asked Barbara. "Miss Barbara, you didn't just give me a job. You taught me that it's possible to grow in life without losing your character." "That's beautiful, Tyler," said Emily. "See, Mom, you're also an educator. I never thought about it that way. Think about it. How many people have come through your company? How many learned important things working with you?" Barbara reflected on her daughter's question. "You're right. I've always enjoyed teaching employees, helping them grow." "Then you also have a calling to teach them," said Tyler. "Emily, can I share an idea I had?" "Of course. I was thinking about starting a social project at the company, something related to education." "What kind of project?" "I'm not sure yet. Maybe tutoring for employees' children, or scholarships, or vocational training. That's a fantastic idea. Can I help plan it? You'd really help? Of course, I love educational projects, and I can help with the technical side, said Tyler. Michael, do you want to join too? Asked Barbara. I'd love to. I have a degree in business administration. I can help manage the project. Barbara was moved, seeing everyone. So willing to help. Then it's decided. We'll create the project together. What should we call it? Asked Emily. How about Growing Project? Suggested Tyler. Perfect, said Barbara. They spent the rest of the night planning the project. It would be an educational center within the company itself, offering tutoring for employees' children, vocational courses for young people in the community, and cultural activities on weekends. Mum, this project could help hundreds of people, said Emily, excited. And the best part is it'll bring the whole family together, said Michael. What do you mean? Asked Barbara. You'll coordinate. Emily will handle the educational part, Tyler the technical side, and I can help with administration. That's right, said Tyler. We'll all work together. Barbara looked around the table and saw her new family gathered, the daughter she'd gotten back, the son-in-law she'd gained, and the young man who had become like a son to her. Do you know what I'm thinking? She said. What? Everyone asked. That the day my car broke down was the best day of my life. Why? Asked Emily. Because it was the day everything started to change. The day I met Tyler. The day I decided to fight for you. The day I learned it's never too late to fix what's broken. Mum, can I give you a hug? Said Emily, emotional. Always, my dear, always. The two embraced, and soon Tyler and Michael joined in the group hug. This is what family is, said Tyler. People who care about each other. And who never give up on each other, Barbara added. That night, everyone went to sleep knowing they'd found something truly special, a chosen family built on love, respect, and companionship. On Sunday morning, before Emily and Michael returned to New York City, they made one last visit to the company to finalize the details of the Growing Project. Mum, when do you think we can start? Asked Emily. How about after your wedding? That way you can move here and oversee the project closely. Wait, move here? Well, I thought you could live here in Pittsburgh. That way we'll be closer. Michael, what do you think? Asked Emily. I think it's a great idea. I can work in the company and project administration. And I can request a transfer to a school here, said Emily. So it's decided? Asked Barbara, barely containing her emotion. It's decided, said Emily. We're coming home. Home? Home, Mum. This was always my home. I was just lost for a while. Barbara began to cry with joy. My dear, you have no idea how happy I am. Oh, I do. I feel the same way. Tyler watched everything with a smile. Miss Barbara, do you remember what you said the first day we met? What? That it's never too late to fix what's broken. You just need the right tools and a lot of patience. I remember. Well, you did it. You fixed your family as we did it, Tyler. I couldn't have done it alone. And now we'll build something even better, said Emily. What? Asked Michael. A future together. Working together. Helping others. Being a real family. Barbara looked at the three people who had completely changed her life and felt overwhelming gratitude. 6 months later, the Growing Project was in full swing. Emily had moved to Pittsburgh after the wedding and was coordinating the project's educational activities. Michael was working in company administration and had proven to be an excellent manager. Tyler had finished his technical course and was overseeing the project's infrastructure while teaching basic mechanics to youth in the community. Barbara had reduced her workload to 40 hours a week and was taking piano lessons twice a week. One Saturday morning, they were all gathered at the project's educational center, watching the children in their activities. Mum, look how many kids we're helping, said Emily. Over 200 children and teens, said Michael, checking his spreadsheets. And the parents are benefiting too, said Tyler. Many are taking the vocational courses. It's amazing how a simple idea could grow so much, said Barbara. It wasn't a simple idea, Mom. It was an idea made with love. Do you know what makes me happiest about all this? Asked Barbara. What? The three of them asked. It's just that we're doing this together, like a family. And this is only the beginning, said Tyler. Imagine everything we can still do. I have a confession to make, said Emily. What? At first, when Mum suggested creating this project, I thought it was just a way to please me. And now? Now I see she always had a teacher's heart. She just didn't know how to express it. Thank you for giving me the chance to show it, sweetheart. Thank you for changing, Mum. Barbara looked around and saw children studying, teenagers learning trades, parents attending literacy classes. Tyler, do you remember that conversation we had on the road? I remember every word. You said your mother always told you life has a way of repaying kindness. And she was right, wasn't she? She was. So I helped you that day. You helped me reconnect with my daughter, and now we're all helping hundreds of people. It's a cycle of kindness, said Michael. That's exactly it, Emily agreed. At that moment, one of the children from the project approached Barbara. Aunt Barbara, can I ask you something? Of course, Olivia. Why did you create this project? Barbara thought for a moment before answering. Because I learned that true happiness comes from helping others. And because I wanted to. Do something that would make the world a little better. Is it working? What do you think? I think so. Here I learn lots of cool things and get to play with my friends. Then it's working, Barbara said, smiling. Olivia ran back to her activities, and Barbara watched her fondly. Mum, do you know the biggest change I've seen in you? Asked Emily. What? You've learned to smile for real. Before your smiles were always forced professional. Now you smile with your eyes. It's because now I have real reasons to smile. Like what? The three of you. This project, the certainty that I'm on the right path. And what is the right path, as asked Tyler? The path of love, family, and giving back. The path of being useful to the world, not just financially successful. Mum, can I tell you a secret? Of course, Emily. I always knew you were capable of all this. I was just waiting for you to realize it. How did you know? Because even when you were always busy, I saw how kindly you treated the employees. I saw how you worried when someone was struggling. It's true, Tyler agreed. You've always been a special person. You just needed to learn how to express it better. And you all taught me that. We taught each other, said Emily. That's how a real family works. Michael watched the conversation with admiration. Do you realize what an amazing story we have to tell? What do you mean? Asked Barbara. A chance meeting on the road that changed the lives of everyone involved. It sounds like a movie plot. It wasn't chance, said Tyler. How so? My mother always said there's no such thing as coincidence. It's preparation, meeting opportunity. So we were all prepared to meet? Asked Emily. I think so. Miss Barbara was prepared to change. I was prepared to grow. You were prepared to forgive. And I was prepared to gain a family. Michael finished. Barbara felt her eyes fill with grateful tears. Do you know what moves me the most about all this? What? They all asked. Now I finally understand what my own mother tried to teach me when I was little. What did she say? That true wealth isn't in what we accumulate, but in what we share. Your mother was wise, said Tyler. She was, and it took me 50 years to understand it. Better late than never, said Emily. Exactly. And now I can teach that to the children in the project. And for our own children, said Michael. Children? Asked Barbara. Yeah, Mum, Emily hasn't told you yet, but we're thinking about expanding our family soon. Barbara looked at Emily with wide eyes. Is that true, honey? Yes, Mum. We're trying to get pregnant. Barbara stood up and hugged Emily tightly. You're going to be a grandma, Emily said, laughing. I'm going to be a grandma, Barbara repeated, emotional. And a present grandma, Michael added. What do you mean? Present in body and soul. Not just with expensive gifts, but with time, attention, and love. I promise. I'll be the best grandma in the world. You will, said Tyler, because now you know what really matters. And what really matters, Emily asked. The people we love. The moments we share. The good we do in the world. Barbara looked around once more. The educational center was full of life, joy, and hope. Children learning, teenagers preparing for the future, adults qualifying for better opportunities. You know what I'm thinking, she said. What? Everyone asked. That if I could go back in time, I wouldn't change a thing. Not even the mistakes? Emily asked. Not even the mistakes, because they're what brought me here, to you, to this moment. That's wisdom, Mom. It's learning, honey. I've learned that life isn't a straight line. It's full of twists, ups and downs, but what matters is not giving up on reaching the right destination. And what's the right destination? Tyler asked. The place where we feel useful, loved and complete. And do you feel that way now? Michael asked. Completely. I have a daughter who forgave me, a son-in-law who accepts me, a young man I consider a son, a project that's changing lives. And the grandchildren on the way, Emily reminded her. And the grandchildren on the way, Barbara agreed, smiling. At that moment, Robert approached the group. Ms. Barbara, sorry to interrupt, but there's a family here who wants to learn about the project. Of course, Robert, bring them over. Robert returned with a woman around 40 and 2 children. Good afternoon, the woman said. I heard you have an educational program here. We do, Emily said. I'm Emily, the program coordinator. Nice to meet you. I'm Rebecca. These are my daughters, Sophie and Megan. How old are they? Sophie is 8 and Megan is 10. Perfect. We have activities for those ages. Would you like to see our setup? I'd love to. Emily led the family to tour the project while Barbara, Tyler and Michael continued talking. See, Tyler said, every family that comes here is a life that can be transformed. Just like ours was, Michael said. Exactly, the project is becoming so much bigger than we imagined. Ms. Barbara, can I make a suggestion? Tyler asked. Of course. How about we document our story? Tell how it all started, how we got here. Why? To inspire others, to show that it's possible to start over, forgive, and build something new. I think that's a great idea. Michael said, we could create a book, a documentary, something like that. And use the proceeds to expand the project, Barbara suggested. Perfect, Tyler said. When Emily returned, they told her about the idea. I love it, she said. We could call it The Day My Car Broke Down. Why? Because that's the day our story really began. Barbara smiled, remembering that moment on the road that had changed her life forever. Tyler, do you remember what I said about selling? The company? I do. You said you were tired of fighting, competing, always being worried. That's right. Today I run the same company, but in a completely different way. How? With purpose. Before I worked just to make money. Now I work to create jobs, to sustain the project, to make a difference in the community. And that makes all the difference in motivation, said Michael. It really does. I wake up excited to work every day. And we're here to help, said Emily. You are my greatest treasures. Mum, can I ask you something? Of course. If you could give advice to someone going through what you went through, what would you say? Barbara thought carefully before answering. I say it's never too late to change. That pride and fear are the biggest enemies of happiness, and that true love always finds a way. And sometimes the way comes from where we least expect it, added Tyler. Exactly. Who would have thought a young mechanic by the side of the road would be the catalyst for so much change? Life is full of surprises, said Michael. And our story isn't over yet, said Emily. What do you mean? We still have many chapters to write. Tyler's wedding, the grandchildren who'll come, the expansion of the project. True, said Barbara. This is just one part of our story. And what an important part, said Tyler. The part where we learned what truly matters in life. Just then, a group of young men arrived for their mechanics class with Tyler. Excuse me, everyone, he said. I have to go teach the boys. Go ahead, Tyler, said Barbara, and thank you for everything. Thank you for what? For saving my family. Ms. Barbara, you're the one who saved your family. I just helped you find the courage. Tyler walked away toward the young men, and Barbara watched him with maternal pride. Mom, Tyler's right, said Emily. About what? About you saving our family. You made all the hard decisions, wrote the letter, accepted the criticism, changed your habits. But he planted the seed, and you nurtured it to grow. Michael watched mother and daughter with admiration. You know how lucky I feel? Why? They both asked. Because I married an amazing woman, gained a wonderful mother-in-law, and still get to be part of a project that's changing the world. The world? Asked Barbara. Don't exaggerate. I'm not. Every child who comes here will grow up with different values. Every young person who learns a trade will have a better life. Every family we help will pass it forward. Michael's right, said Emily. Our project's impact goes far beyond what we can see. Barbara looked around once more and saw all those people working, studying, growing, dreaming. You know what amazes me the most? What? That it all started with a simple conversation about family and relationships. And look where we are now, said Emily. Exactly where we needed to be, said Michael. How can you be so sure? Because we're happy, Emily said simply. Because we're making a difference, said Michael. Because we're together, they both said at the same time. Barbara felt a sense of wholeness she'd never experienced. Therefore, sweetheart, can I tell you a secret? Of course. Before meeting Tyler, I was thinking of selling everything and moving to a small town in the countryside. Really? Really. I thought my life was over, that I had nothing left to do here. And now? Now I feel like my real life. Hers just beginning. Why? Because now I have a greater purpose. Before I worked for myself. Now I work for you, for the project, for the community. And that makes all the difference, said Michael. It really does. It gives meaning to everything. Just then, several children approached the group. Aunt Barbara, one of them, shouted, "Hi, Timmy. How was class today?" "It was great. I learned to write my whole name." "How wonderful. And you, Emma?" "I learned how to do division." "Congratulations, sweetheart." The children ran off, and Barbara watched them with affection. "Mom, did you see how they treat you?" Emily asked. "How?" "With real affection, they can tell you care about them." "Because I really do. And they feel that. Kids have a way of knowing who truly cares about them. Just like you could when you were little." "Exactly. I always knew you loved me, Mom. I just wanted to feel it more often." "And now you do?" "Every single day." Barbara hugged Emily tightly, still hardly believing she had her daughter back. "Mom, can I ask you for something?" "Of course." "Stop blaming yourself for the past. What matters is the present and the future. You're right. Kel, stop looking back. And we'll build something new together from now on. Together." Michael watched the conversation with a smile. "You know what I'm thinking?" "What?" the two asked. "That our family is going to be a great example for our kids." "How so?" "We'll be able to teach them that it's possible to overcome conflicts, forgive, start over, and build something new. And most importantly," Emily said, "that family isn't just about blood. It's about people who choose to stay together and support each other." "Exactly," Barbara agreed. "Tyler is proof of that." Just then, Tyler returned from class with the young students. "How did it go?" Barbara asked. "Great. 3 of them are ready to intern at workshops in the city." "That's wonderful. And there's more news." "What?" "Robert decided he wants to teach too. He wants to teach traditional mechanics while I teach the newer technologies." "What a fantastic idea," Michael said. "That way we can reach more young people," Emily added. "Exactly. And Robert feels really useful. He said he never imagined he could teach." "Everyone has something to teach," Barbara said. "True, and everyone has something to learn too." "Including me," Barbara said. "Every day I learn something new here." "What did you learn today?" Emily asked. "I learned that true happiness is this, seeing people grow, develop, and achieve their dreams. And it's also having a family who loves you," Tyler said. "And working for something bigger than yourself," Michael added. "You're all right, it's all of that together." The sun was beginning to set, and the project's activities were winding down. Little by little, families headed home, always with smiles and sincere thanks. "Another productive day," Emily said. "Another day of fulfillment," Barbara said. "And tomorrow there's more," Tyler said. "And I'm already looking forward to tomorrow," Michael added. Barbara looked at those 3 people who had become her family and felt immense gratitude for the journey they'd taken. "You know what we're going to do now?" "What?" they all asked. "We're going home to have dinner together, like a family." "Great idea," Emily said. "I'll cook," Michael offered. "I'll help," Tyler said. "And I'll just watch you and be happy," Barbara said. "No, Mom," Emily said. "You'll help too. Now we're a team in everything. You're right, we're a team. They walked arm in arm to Barbara's house, talking about plans for the next day, the project, the family they'd built, and the future they'd create together. When they got home, Barbara paused at the door for a moment and looked back at the educational center they'd built together. "What are you thinking about, Mom?" Emily asked. "I'm thinking that the day my car broke down was truly the best day of my life." "Why?" "Because it was the day I started building the life I really wanted." "And what kind of life is that?" "A life full of love, purpose, and real connections. A life that makes a difference in the world." "And we've done that," Tyler said. "Yes, we have. Together." Barbara walked into her home with her new family, knowing she had everything she needed to be happy, people she loved, a purpose that motivated her, and the certainty that she was on the right path. That evening, as they dined together, talking and laughing, she remembered that day on the road once again. If someone had told her that a car repair would completely change her life, she would never have believed it. But life had its own plans, and sometimes the best encounters happen when we least expect them. "Mum, what are you thinking about?" asked Emily, noticing Barbara had gone quiet. "I'm thinking how amazing life is." "Why?" "Because it gives us second chances, third chances, as many chances as we need to get it right. As long as we're willing to change," said Tyler. "Exactly. And I was willing. You all helped me see that." "And we were willing to forgive and accept," said Michael. "That's why it worked, because everyone did their part." Barbara looked around the table and saw her family gathered. In just a few months, she had gone from a lonely, bitter woman to a happy, fulfilled grandmother, mother-in-law, and adoptive mother. "Do you know what my biggest wish is now?" "What?" they all asked. "That our story inspires others not to give up on their dreams, their relationships or second chances." "It will," said Emily. "I'm sure of it." "How can you be so sure?" "Because it's a true story. And true stories of overcoming always touch people's hearts." "And our story isn't over yet," Tyler reminded them. "True, we still have so much to live and build together. And so much love to give and receive," said Michael. Barbara smiled, feeling complete and grateful for everything that had happened. The end. Now tell us what you thought of this story of overcoming and family reconciliation. Do you believe it's possible to start over and mend relationships after so much time? Share your honest thoughts in the comments. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss other heartwarming stories like this one. Thank you so much for being here with us.